Hello everyone, my name is True, and before we hop into today's video, I just wanted to thank you for clicking on today's video. Please consider taking a second to hit the like button if you enjoyed the content or hitting the dislike button if you don't. And while you're at it, if you are not already, please consider subscribing to the channel. It's the best way to support me and it only takes one click. And with all of that being said, enjoy the video. You are now watching the True TCG. Hey, how's it going guys? True here, finally back with another video, the first video of 2022. Thank you guys for sticking around. School's been super busy and whatnot, but I finally had time to record a video, and here we are. And I want to set a goal, so by the end of 2022, I want to hit 1,000 subscribers. If I really hope that I can reach this goal. It means that at least for every day I have to gain at least 2 new subscribers, around that much. So if you could please consider subscribing, and while you're at it, drop a like on today's video to help this video get shared with others. And with all that being said, let's hop into today's video. So in front of you, what you guys might see, it might look like just a bunch of rubble, just a complete binder drop of a deck, but in reality this deck is actually pretty strong and has been showing up at quite a few online tournaments and have had pretty decent placements. And we are talking about Duraludon VMAX. Duraludon VMAX, I'm pretty sure everyone at this point knows what it does. Overall, it's just a really tanky Pokemon that's pretty hard to hit, and what I mean by this is that the ability Skyscraper essentially blocks out a lot of Pokemon in the current standard format, because if you think about it, Single Strike is a really big deck, Rapid Strike is pretty good, and Mew VMAX also uses Special Energy. So those are kind of like the big 3 decks that Duraludon VMAX kind of bodies and makes it really hard for them to win. And its attack G-Max Pulverization is not too shabby either, 220 damage for 3 energies. Overall pretty good. It's not affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon, so the damage cannot be reduced. And something to note is that Duraludon VMAX does not have any weakness either, so it is nearly impossible to win it KO this Duraludon VMAX. Yeah, overall this deck really centers around trying to heal up the Duraludon VMAX, make it as tanky as possible, and just start swinging after we've gotten set up. For our healing, we do play Team Yell Towel, which heals 50 damage from both active Pokemon. The reason this card is so good in this deck is because Duraludon VMAX, the only way to really charge it up in this deck specifically is to manually attach, and the chances of us getting hit first are rather high. And for this reason, us playing Team Yell Towel is essentially like a potion that just heals 50 because yeah, we are getting hit first, so most of the time we can utilize Team Yell Towel to maximum full potential. We do play 4 Crystal Cave. It's just a fantastic stadium for this deck. Not only can it heal Duraludon VMAX, it can also heal our Zacian Vs in case they ever do get hit as well. So Crystal Cave is just, it fits perfectly in this deck. So we do play 4 of those, and it's really important to play 4 Crystal Cave because Path to the Peak does shut off the Skyscraper ability, which is really a nuisance. So we do play 4 Crystal Cave as well to bump those stadiums. For our supporter line, we do play 4 Adventurous Discovery. It's just the perfect way to search out our VMAXs and Vs. We do play 2 Averys as a draw 3, but it also helps us in the Mew VMAX matchup because it forces the Mew VMAX player to get rid of Genesects, Mellowetters, maybe even bench Mew VMAXs, and Avery is just a pretty strong overall support. It's overall a pretty strong draw supporter in this deck. We do play 3 Boss's Orders, a couple of other supporters, Raihan's. Everyone probably knows that already. Sonia is a pretty big exception. You don't see this card played that much, but it's an excellent way to search out our basic Pokemon turn 1, or even search out energies, which is the main reason we play it, is because sometimes we do need to find those energies. We also do play Big Charm just to make our dudes a little bit more tankier, and we do play 9 Fighting Energy and 9 Metal Energy. And that's really all I have to say for the deck. Pretty sure you guys have seen this deck running around on ladder. With all of that being said, let's get into some games. Alright, so hopping into our very first game here against Pock. I'm not really sure how to pronounce their in-game name, but by the looks of things, we are calling the coin flip. We're going to call it Tails because Tails never fails, except it does this time. That's fine. Actually, I think my video settings are a little bit weird, so I'm actually going to go ahead and fix that. I'm going to apply this. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. And yeah, so now the screen should be fixed. Yeah, that's what I need to do every single video. Sometimes it reverts back, so I have to continuously remember to do it, which is a little bit annoying, but it's all good. So now you should be able to see both my in-game name and Pog's in-game name, and it looks like we did take 2 mulligans. A little bit unfortunate, the starting hand's not looking terribly strong either, but fortunately we do have a Pokégear, so hopefully we can find one of our 6 outs to finding some basic Pokemon turn 1. It looks like we are up against some sort of, oh, it looks like we're up against Malamar. Okay, they did start Zoroark, which is interesting. Okay, so it looks like we are up against the Malamar build with Zoroark, which is pretty strong in my opinion. But yeah, it looks like it's just going to be a pass from them. No energy attachments. Avery's not going to do a whole lot right now. Hopefully we find something off this gear. We do find an adventurous discovery that is absolutely fantastic. So now we can hold the Avery for next turn, which might be a pretty strong play considering the fact that our opponent definitely could bench 2 more Pokemon next turn. So we're definitely going to grab a Zacian V here, a Duraludon V, so we can start charging up the benched one, because the active one in theory could get KO'd, which is definitely not something that I want, but it's probably going to happen anyways. So I think just going for these 3 feels fine with me. And yeah, I think we're just going to bench the Zacian, bench the Duraludon, attach the fighting energy to it. And I think we really just need to go for an Intrepid Sword. I don't really see anything else we can do. So yeah, okay, so off this Intrepid Sword we get a Sonia. It's pretty good to find energies, but we already have a lot of those in our hand. Big Charm and another Team Yell Towel. So overall, not terrible. The really unfortunate thing is that Malamar is one of the few decks in the format that can one-hit KO us, so that is definitely a little bit of a nuisance. But yeah, hopefully we'll find a way to get around it. This matchup is definitely not in our favor, I think. Primarily being the reason stated, yeah, they can one-hit KO us, so if they get set up, which it looks like they are doing rather well right now, we could definitely be in a little bit of a rough spot, if I'm being quite honest. So looks like our opponent needs to find a way to move the Zorua to the bench, or find a way to put a Malamar in the discard pile, which they can do with Make Do, and then use the ability on Zoroark, and then attack with it. So our opponent's got quite a few options. They had to play Karina's Focus for 3, which didn't draw them too much. They also get rid of another Karina's Focus, which I'll happily take any day of the week, I guess. This is also a Rapid Strike card, so that's one less card our opponent has to work with, if I'm thinking about it like that. So our opponent's going to level ball here, probably going to find another Mentino. Yep, there it is. And yeah, next turn, we've got a pretty slow next turn. We just attach Metal Energy, probably evolve Big Charm, just to hopefully prevent our opponent from taking a KO on it. Something we can do is actually choose not to VMAX until our opponent KOs the active, hopefully. But I'm not too sure how good of a play that's going to be. If I'm being quite honest, I think I'm definitely going to go with the Avery here, so I think I'm going to start with it. Hopefully disrupt our opponent a bit. They're either going to get rid of the Malamar or the Mentino for sure. No reason to get rid of Octillery or Mentino. They opt to get rid of the Mentino, so I'm pretty happy about that. Definitely going to make it a lot harder for our opponent to find KOs. And something to note is that our Duraludon V is actually super tanky as well. It does essentially have 250 HP, which requires our opponent to find, what, 7 Rapid Strike cards, and currently they only have a 7-card hand, so it might be a little bit rough for them to do that. And I think I'm going to go ahead and VMAX here. I feel like we're pretty safe. I highly doubt our opponent's going to find a way to boss KO it, so I feel pretty safe just committing a lot to it. And yeah, let's go for the Intrepid Sword again. There are some switches that we were looking for. That is fantastic. And the Crystal Cave's not bad either, but I'm really looking for a boss's orders to start chasing these chinchillas. I think that's what Cinccino is. Yeah, overall, we're not looking like we're in a bad spot. Our opponent hasn't found a way to get an attack off, which is good news for us. Something unfortunate to know is that we don't have a way to disrupt their hand, so they're essentially stuck with all of those cards for a while. Our opponent gonna get rid of a Bruno, which is not terrible for us. Again, our opponent's not really getting rid of their search cards, which is probably what they want to do most of the time, if I'm being quite honest, because yeah, Bruno's a pretty solid draw supporter. Now the question is, do I really want to go in and attack this turn? Can go ahead and commit the Metal Energy here, play the Adventurous Discovery, search out these 2. No reason not to just thin the deck out. Want to save the Avery for a time specifically where I can get more value out of it. And I think I'm just going to go switch and attack, start pressuring our opponent. I'm not sure if this is the correct play or not, but I don't really see much merit in just sitting around and waiting for our opponent to set up even more. So I feel like at this point we should probably start attacking. That's just my opinion though. Let's go for the GMAX Pulverization. Our opponent has to find 9 rapid strike cards to take a KO on our Duraludon VMAX. Even if they find a way to get rid of the Big Charm, they do still have to find 9. Yeah, so Big Charm in this matchup is probably not the biggest deal, but by the looks of things, our opponent has kind of had a rough time setting up. They only have 1 Chinchilla in play, they only have 1 Octopus in play, and they definitely would want more, and there is the Fog Crystal for the Psychic Energy. So our opponent's going to be able to hit us this turn, which definitely kind of sucks. But let's get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They have to get rid of a Rescue Carrier, which is good for us. If our opponent takes a KO next turn, we're not going to be able to attack next turn, which definitely sucks. Yeah, you definitely could play Metal Saucer in this deck. It could potentially make it so that you could pull off an attack in a scenario like this, but at the same time, it's kind of hard to find Metal Saucers. But with Raihan, you can actually do it. So again, if you want to put like 1 or 2 Metal Saucers in this deck, by all means, do go for it, because yeah, in this certain scenario, it would serve you very, very well, because you can Metal Saucer to the Duraludon V, because it is a Metal type, and I'm thinking our opponent's got the KO here. They've got a huge hand. Let's see if they get it or not. Just gonna click done. I don't want to scroll through all of their cards. So let's see if they find the KO. They do find the KO, unfortunately, and I mean, yeah, there's not a whole lot we could have done to prevent it. I mean, we don't play any Marnies, and yeah, that's why I'm saying I would love to actually put in some Metal Saucers now that I'm thinking about it, for scenarios like this. So let's promote the Zacian V here. Yeah, and again, no boss's orders. Not finding a boss definitely sucks, because we could have like bossed the rat to make it harder for our opponent to find KOs, but fortunately, no. I shouldn't have VMAX. That's actually a huge misplay, because now our opponent can boss this up and hit it, but it's not the end of the world, I guess. Let's go for this Pokégear, looking for a Raihan. A boss's orders is not a Raihan, unfortunately. So now we're kind of sitting ducks, if I'm being honest. Can play the Adventurous Discovery, I guess, just get it out of the deck. Maybe want to hold on to my Averys. I could actually boss the Octillery, I think. I actually think I like bossing the Octillery here, making it so that our opponent has to find a way to move it out of the active. They would have to put down the Towers of Waters, which we could then pump with the Stadium. So I think this is probably a good play to make. Yeah, probably just go for the Intrepid Sword. We can definitely need to play the Crushing Hammer here. Does flip tails, unfortunately. That would have been a huge heads for us. And yeah, just Intrepid Sword. No such luck finding an a Raihan either. So things are not looking good for us so far. Unfortunately, yeah, just no Raihan in sight, or Pokégear for that matter. So definitely feeling a little bit unfortunate here. Like I said, this matchup definitely not the greatest for us. Yeah, I think this game's probably just about wrapped up. Our opponent's probably going to find a KO on our Zacian, find a way to KO it, and then we have to bring up our Duraludon VMAX, and it's going to get absolutely tanked through. So, I mean, something we could look to do potentially is just boss up Octillery and hopefully stall them out of the game, but our opponent plays way too many energies, and they're definitely going to be able to move it somehow, even if we try to trap it. So that's not an option. Our opponent could also play Scoop Net. Opponent's going to Ordinary Rod back in the Zorua and Zorak. There's a Great Ball. And yeah, our opponent just has a lot of options to work with. There is a Minccino from our opponent. They're going to bench that. Yeah, things are just not looking good. So next turn, hopefully we top deck a Raihan or something like that. If we don't find a way to search out Raihan, but if our opponent doesn't KO our active, we can actually just go for a Sonia as well, or maybe a Raihan. Maybe an Avery, and just a pass from our opponent. So this is actually pretty good for us. Let's go for the Sonia here. Grab out 2 Metal Energies and just attach one to a Duraludon VMAX, and I think we just have to Intrepid Sword again. I mean, I really don't see anything else we can do, so let's just go for that Intrepid Sword here. And yeah, again, our opponent can win this turn. They can find Towers of Water, switch, draw a bunch of cards, boss, KO our Duraludon VMAX, which would be unfortunate, but in reality, that's really just how this matchup goes. We really need some Metal Saucers in this deck for this matchup, and maybe for a couple of others. Yeah, there's the make do from our opponent, getting rid of a Juniper. Yeah, I'm pretty sure our opponent knows by now that we don't play any sort of Marnie or way to disrupt their hand. But fortunately, by the looks of it, our trapping has kind of worked. We have just left the Octillery in the active, and for some reason, our opponent has not opted to search out of Towers of Waters. There's a Scoop Up Net. They can just go for the boss on our Duraludon VMAX. Probably have 9 cards to kill, but they benched the Zorua, so maybe they don't have it. Maybe they're just gonna boss it up and hit it, which wouldn't be too bad for us if I'm being honest. And if our opponent just opts to hit it, we can maybe look to just Team Yell Towels a bunch. No, just gonna be the Rapid Strike Tentacles, gonna KO our active Zacian V. Okay, so now our game plan is probably gonna change a bit. There's the KO, and we're probably just gonna boss the Tintino, I guess. They're gonna shuffle 6 cards. They have 4 cards. They're gonna take 2. I just want to make it a little bit harder for our opponent to win the game, and I'm going to do that by attaching Big Charm, attaching the Metal Energy, playing the Crushing Hammer. Hopefully this hits heads. It does. Getting rid of that Psychic Energy is a pretty big deal, considering the fact that our opponent's down 1 Ordinary Rod, but they definitely could play 2. So let's boss up this Tintino here. I think at this point we really just have to hit it. I mean, I really don't see another option. I mean, we are down 2 Boss's Orders, which is kind of unfortunate, but bossing that Octillery definitely did save us a turn, so I don't really regret doing that. They benched another Zorua. Yeah, I'm just trying to make it a lot harder for our opponent to find ways to hit us for damage. Something to note is that they also do need to find a way to turn off our ability, but I don't think they play Path to the Peak, so they have to find a basic Psychic, and they probably do play 2 Ordinary Rods, 2 Psychic Energies as well. I'd imagine maybe 3, because they do play the Zoroark build. I'm not quite sure. I'm not familiar with Malamar, if I'm completely honest. There's a Great Ball. We do have a lot of healing in hand to work with, as I said, so that's pretty good. Our opponent's going to go for a Zoroark here, so they have that online. There is a Karina's Focus, so they're only going to be seeing 3 new cards here. That gets rid of another Rapid Strike card as well. There's an Ordinary Rod, unfortunately. That is a pain in the butt. They're going to shuffle back in 2 Chinchillas here and a Psychic Energy, and yeah, I think our opponent has to find a Psychic Energy. They're going to get rid of a Chinchilla, so they're down 1-1 Chinchilla line. They only have 6 cards in hand. They definitely could whiff here, which would be pretty good for us. So yeah, let's see it. They opt to go for the Zoroark and transform into a Tintino. So they're going to get another Make Do online to work with. There's another Make Do. They are down 2 Ordinary Rods, so that is great news for us. I think that's all they played. There's the Fog Crystal, unfortunately, but we're definitely not getting KO'd here, I believe. Yeah, I don't think it's really possible. And we have full healing. We have 180 damage worth of healing in our hand, which is pretty solid in my book. And our opponent's only hitting us for 160. That's really not that much, and we can just heal all of that away. Yeah, they have to find 9 Rapid Strike cards in order to KO us, so I'm pretty happy about that. Let's play all these Team Yell Towels, probably tilting our opponent a bit right now. Let's play down the Crystal Cave, because why not? We have 3 left in deck as well, so it doesn't really make too big of a difference. Go ahead and attach the Fighting Energy, I think that's fine. Play some Gears, maybe look for our remaining boss's orders. Sonia's not bad, we can thin out the deck. With that, let's play a Pokégear again, why not? And there's a concession from our opponent. And yeah, by the looks of things, we just came back from a really rough matchup. Looks like our opponent just ran out of resources. And yeah, that's gonna do it for the game, for game 1. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Alright, so hopping into our second game here against LOL. A couple of numbers, LOL. Pretty interesting in-game name if you ask me. So it's called the coin flip. It's called Tails. We do win the coin flip this time. Gonna opt to go second. And yeah, last game was definitely a very solid game for us. Our opponent, I feel like they were playing a little bit weird since they never did have 5 bench Pokemon. Yeah, so definitely last game was a little bit strange. Hopefully this game, yeah, it looks like we are up against Jolteon, which is a good matchup, but Path to the Peak is one heck of a killer. I've played this matchup multiple times, and I think I've won most of it, but sometimes Path to the Peak just really bricks you bad. So hopefully, and our opponent starts with Zigzagoon. That is good news for us. Yeah, our opponent never really wants to start with Zigzagoon. I think they would rather start a Sobble or Jolteon V. Yeah, them starting Zigzagoon is great news for us, though it doesn't really make too big of a difference because they do play Scoop Up Net. They opt to Quick Ball for Jolteon V here. Gonna bench it, okay. And this hand's not looking too good for us, unfortunately, but hopefully we top deck something good, like an Adventurous Discovery would be fantastic, or even a Pokégear to hopefully find a Sonia or an Adventurous Discovery. There is a Metal Energy. That is not what we were looking for, so I think I just commit to active and Intrepid Sword. No real reason to attach Big Charm. There's no way our opponent's going to be able to KO us, and yeah, let's go for this, and we do find a Metal Energy off of it, as well as the Draw Supporter to work with for next turn, so that's fantastic news. Yeah, so a really nasty combo our opponent can do to us is Marnie and Path to the Peak, and while this might not seem like the biggest devastating combo in the world, trust me, when you're playing Duraludon VMAX, you know the feeling. Most of the times with Duraludon VMAX, you like building up really big hands, and yeah, stashing a lot of resources, but when you get Path to the Peak and then put all of it on the bottom, this deck really struggles to draw cards sometimes. And there's the Path to the Peak. Our opponent can hit us with the Marnie, just as I was saying about it. Talk about that's really unfortunate. So I kind of wished it into existence there, I guess, but this hand's not actually looking terrible either. Do you have a Crystal Cave, Team Yo Towel? Just gonna be the pass from our opponent here. That is great. I feel like I just go with the Sonia here. I really don't feel like attacking here is the right play. I feel like just fetching out 2 Duraludon Vs feels perfectly fine with me. Yeah, unfortunately we can't grab 1 basic, 1 energy. This would make Sonia a lot more broken. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna grab 2 Duraludon Vs here, bench both of them. Yeah, fortunately we top deck Research. I'm just gonna go ahead, throw it on the Crystal Cave. Yeah, go with an Intrepid Sword. So no energies, unfortunately, but it's not the end of the world. You have 2 Team Yell Towels to use, so if our opponent does go in and attack our Zacian next turn, you have a pretty good response, because we can just heal off the 100 damage that our opponent is going to put on us. So our opponent opts to Research, they get rid of another Marnie. Thank goodness, that's 1 less Marnie I have to go through. Marnie's basically this deck's worst enemy, along with Path to the Peak. So, and yeah, that was just one example of how devastating it could have really been, because like they played Path to the Peak. Had we not drawn into Crystal Cave, things would have been super rough. So it looks like we're gonna get hit here. There's the Inteleon, so they're gonna probably punch up a bench Duraludon V. Yep, there it is. They're gonna punch the left one. Yeah, they're just gonna spread a lot of damage here. I actually didn't even have to bench Duraludon Vs, now that I'm looking at it, so maybe I benched those a little bit preemptively, but I'm just gonna go ahead and use Crystal Cave here, heal the active. Don't really see a reason to go for a Pokégear. Yeah, I think I'm always researching. We'll display this anyways. There is a Sonia. A couple of other cards. Maybe I just take the Sonia to guarantee the attack. That wouldn't be a terrible play either, if I'm being quite honest. Yeah, just searching out 2 Metal Energies, 1 Metal, 1 Fighting doesn't seem all that bad to me, if I'm being honest. So maybe I am just gonna go for the Sonia here. Hold on to the researches. Probably, I don't know if there's a point in attaching to the active with the Big Charm. I think I'm actually gonna hold the Big Charm here. Let's go for this Sonia here. Go for 1 Metal, 1 Fighting. Attach Metal to the active. Start swinging with that Brave Blade. Yeah, next turn we have a Fighting Energy to work with. Yeah, I probably shouldn't have benched the Duraludon Vs now that I'm looking at it, but again, not the end of the world here. We definitely soften up this Jolteon VMAX, and our opponent probably wants the Cheryl. I think Jolteon plays 1 of Cheryl, but then again, there is the Cheryl, which is definitely unfortunate. I think they only do play 1 of. They managed to find it, even though they didn't have a Duraludon in play, so that definitely, it's kind of sucks. But yeah, it's just gonna be Cheryl and then hit for our opponent here. Definitely gonna go for this here. We could Big Charm the active. Let's Team Yell Towel once more. Attach Fighting to this Duraludon V. I don't mind actually if this Duraludon V gets knocked out, if I'm being quite honest. I think I'm just gonna buff this dude up and go for that Research. Yeah, I mean, we're looking pretty solid here. Hopefully oh wow, we actually find Switch as well as a couple of Crushing Hammers. This could be a pretty big deal. Let's see if we hit any heads. No heads definitely sucks, but it's not the end of the world. We could switch into this Team Yell Towel this. If opponent hits us next turn, we'd be at 140. They could ping it and knock it out eventually. So we can't switch next turn though, which kind of sucks. But I feel like just getting this damage is a really big deal. So let's switch into this. It's Team Yell Towel, and then switch again and hit. And yep, things are looking kind of good now. Yeah, let's go for that Brave Blade. Our opponent doesn't have any Sobbles or Drizzles on board, so they can't really utilize Shady Dealings at the current moment, which is fantastic news for us. They're also down a solid bit of draw supporters, 2-2 line of research, and Marnie. And speaking of the devil, they benched the Sobble. Kind of unfortunate, but not the end of the world. There is the Inteleon gonna ping up our benched one, and there's the research. So it looks like our opponent's not breaking. They have to get rid of a Drizzle, which is great news for us. This means that our opponent only has one more Drizzle to work with in the deck. Again, they do play Scoop Up Nets though, so they can use that as well. Yeah, things are not looking terrible at all. And yeah, we've got this dude softened up. And I believe, like I said, they only play one Cheryl, so we need to set up a Duraludon VMAX to go for a KO. If our opponent doesn't find a path to the peak, we can look to Intrepid Sword this turn, because I really don't think we're gonna find a way to switch again, which is kind of unfortunate, but it is what it is. And yeah, there's just gonna be the Max Thunder Rumble. We'll be punching our dudes pretty darn hard. Let's go for that Crystal Cave. Let's go for the VMAX on this one. And yeah, Pokégear hopefully for a draw supporter. Boss's orders is not going to quite cut it. Kind of want to hold on to my boss's orders. We could boss into the Inteleon, maybe force them to go for a Scoop Up Net. They're probably going to Scoop Up Net anyways, if I'm being honest, so that doesn't seem like the strongest play in the world to make. I feel like our opponent kind of has to KO our active, otherwise they're just going to get Brave Blade to death next turn. So is bossing here ever correct? We do have another boss in hand, I guess, so maybe we can get away with just bossing the Inteleon, forcing them to Scoop Up Net. We could also boss the Sobble, I guess. Let's think. Maybe bossing the Sobble is the better play? I'm not quite sure. They could just attach Speed Lightning and retreat. Because if we boss this Inteleon, they in theory get to use 2 more Drizzles, but if we just boss this, they still get to use 2 Drizzles, I guess. Yeah, I guess we're just bossing here. Gonna boss the Inteleon, I guess. It's not gonna make too big of a difference. Yeah, just go for that Intrepid Sword here. And there's a research. Hey, that's fantastic. But again, this kind of sucks because our Crushing Hammers did hit tails, which means, and we didn't find any energies. We don't even have a steel energy, I mean a metal energy to work with, which is definitely unfortunate. There's the Zigzagoon, so our opponent's going to be able to KO our active Zacian V this turn, which sucks a lot, but we do have one tanky boy to work with, and there's the Speed Lightning to the active. As I said, that was probably the play our opponent was looking to make, because Speed Lightning energy is not going to do a whole lot for them in this matchup anyways. They can Inteleon ping the bench and KO it, and we are not looking too good anymore. Hopefully, if we top deck a Raihan, we are definitely looking strong, or a Pokégear, some way to search out energies, I guess, would be all very good. And our opponent's going to take a 4-prize turn. But again, we're still not out of this one. We need our Crushing Hammers to hit heads though. So let's see what we draw. A switch is not going to cut it. So yeah, I think I'm just going to go with the research here. Getting rid of a couple of resources, and no energies definitely sucks. Play the Crushing Hammer, hits tails. Yeah, things are just not looking good. We can't do anything with this hand. Yeah, we're just bricking hard, which definitely sucks. This deck shouldn't brick this hard. I mean, we can't even utilize Raihan anymore for the rest of the game. Yeah, things are just not looking up for us. But the good news is that our Duraludon VMAX, pretty tanky. We do have one Team Meal Towel left, so we can look to survive a couple of more turns, hopefully outlast our opponents in the long run. There's an Evolution Incense, probably going to get another Jolteon VMAX. They probably want to look to attack with a fresh Jolteon VMAX eventually, and our opponent's going to hit us for 100. We can play the Crystal Cave, we can play the Avery, probably force our opponent to get rid of their Zigzagoons, I guess, which might actually be doing them a favor if I'm being quite honest. So let's play the Crystal Cave here, heal the active, and I just don't know if we have enough HP to work with anymore. Let's get the Avery here. Let's play the Avery here, hopefully some energies. That is the wrong energy, and I think I just have to scoop it up at this point. I don't think we have enough turns left, so our opponent hits us, we're at 190, they Inteleon ping us, we're at 210, I can heal 30, we're at 180, I attach metal energy, and then, yeah, I just don't think we can win anymore, so I'm just going to scoop it up here. This was a really unfortunate game where we just couldn't find energy. I think that Marnie at the start really got to us at the end, and I guess it's going to do it for the game, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe, get us to our goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. With all that being said, remember to have a good day, stay safe, and peace out.